Kevin Garnett's cancer patient insult to Charlie Villanueva, and Michael Jordan's confidence crushing remark to Muggsy Bogues stand as infamous examples of psychological warfare in sports. These cringe-worthy moments highlight how modern athletes may have lost their competitive edge. Research confirms what elite competitors always knew instinctively. Effective trash talk triggers. Triggers fear responses, increases pressure, and significantly impacts performance. I ain't saying that again. The science behind verbal intimidation explains why these tactics were once so prevalent in creating legendary rivalries. Has today's sports culture become too friendly and brand conscious to embrace the strategic advantage of getting inside an opponent's head? We know the answer, so it's a rhetorical question. The declining art of trash talk raises questions about competitive intensity. The legendary trash talkers who changed the game. The greatest trash talkers were strategic geniuses who would use words as weapons. These weren't random insults thrown around for laughs, giggles, and hee-hees and ha-has. Nah, they were calculated missiles aimed at their opponent's confidence. Look at Muhammad Ali. The man practically invented trash talk as we know it in 1963. Long time ago. He released a whole album called I Am the Greatest. Before fights, Ali deployed this psychological warfare, crafting verbal jabs that landed weeks, and I mean weeks before he stepped in the ring. Like a chess master, setting traps, Ali understood something fundamental about competition that make many athletes today, I think they've forgotten. They have. Scientists have studied this phenomenon. When Mike Tyson told Lennox Lewis, "I'll eat your children," that kind of talk triggers a fear response in the brain. Yeah, it does. It elevates cortisol levels and creates anxiety, disrupting focus at crucial and critical moments. The great trash talkers followed one written rule. It's only one, so it's not many to remember. And this unwritten rule is you better have the skills to back up your talk. You just can't be barking the bark. As Justin Tuck put it, if you trash talk and you're sorry, it doesn't matter. Michael Jordan delivered every single time. Every single time. Every single time. I ain't saying it again, but the emphasis is there. If anyone disrespected him, Jordan was ready to back it up with both his words and his play. His trash talk was a part of his greatness that you forget. Larry Bird elevated the psychological game further. He would literally tell defenders exactly how he was going to score on them and then exactly do that thing. Imagine the psychological damage when someone tells you what they're about to do, you try to stop it and they do it anyway. That's psychological warfare at its best. This works because trash talk increases pressure on competitors and raises the stakes. It messes with anxiety and arousal levels. You know, arousal levels. The brain processes verbal attacks as threats, triggering that fight or flight response. For most opponents, this creates a mental spiral that hurts their performance. Scottie Pippen demonstrated this power in the 1997 NBA Finals. Karl Malone was at the free throw line in a crucial and critical moment when Pippen whispered, "Just remember, the mailman doesn't deliver on Sundays, Karl." Malone missed both free throws. The Bulls won the game. One sentence changed the outcome of a championship game. In the 80s and 90s, trash talk was expected. Players understood the mental toughness was just as important as physical ability. The NBA was built on rivalries fueled by genuine dislike, not Instagram friendships. Yeah, Instagram friendships. Bird, Magic, Jordan, and the Pistons, these were real rivalries with real emotions. These legends used trash talk to force opponents to play emotional basketball instead of logical basketball that you use in numbers and zeros and what the computers tell you. When you're responding to feelings instead of the game situation, you make mistakes, you take bad shots, and you forget the game plan. A study confirmed what these athletes intuitively knew. Participants subject to trash talk perceive their opponents with more inclivity and rivalry compared to those who receive neutral messages. Yeah, don't be neutral. But today's game has changed completely. Modern NBA players are more likely to help opponents than trash talk them. They're more concerned with post-game handshakes than getting in someone's head. They're too friendly. They're building brands instead of rivalries. So. Let's look at why modern players have lost this psychological edge. Why today's athletes are too brand conscious to trash talk. Remember the last time you saw LeBron James or Steph Curry generally trash talk an opponent? I'll wait for it. Cause me neither. These guys will drop 40 on someone's head and then hug them after the game. They'll dominate you and then ask you about your family. What happened to the days when dropping 40 meant you earned the right to let your opponent know about it? Modern athletes are CEOs of their own companies. LeBron runs a business worth hundreds of millions, if not billions. His brand is the main event and is not the basketball. And when your brand becomes more valuable than your competitive edge, you protect it at all costs. Social media has created a world where one controversial comment can burn your whole career down to the ground. One tweet, one Instagram post, one sideline comment on a hot mic, and you're suddenly losing sponsorship deals worth millions of dollars. Ryan Garcia's racist remarks and anti-Muslim comments got him kicked out of the World Boxing Council. Just like that, poof, gone. One moment of poor judgment can cost you everything you built. While legends like Bird and Jordan built legacies on psychological domination, today's stars built investment portfolios together. The reality is, players today are closer to being business partners than true rivals. Facts. They train together in the summer. Facts. They share agents. Facts. They're building business empires together. Facts. Facts. But ain't nothing wrong with that, by the way. How you gonna trash talk someone who might be in your next business venture? Once again, rhetorical question. We know the answer. How you gonna get in someone's face when you're going to his wedding next month? Yeah, The NBA has become a fraternity instead of a battlefield. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving could team up because they were friends, not because they wanted to destroy common enemies. Players switch teams to play with their buddies. They coordinate free agent moves in group chats. The whole league is basically a giant friend group with different uniforms. When players do try to trash talk now, it just feels fake. It feels manufactured for social media clips rather than coming from a real competitive fire. They're thinking about how it'll play on Twitter or X instead of how it'll get in their opponent's head. Studies show competition intensity drops in games between players with close personal friendships. That's science, not me saying it. Of course it does. I mean, really? How you gonna go full warrior mode against someone you just vacation with? Rhetorical. The friendship and business relationships make the competition softer. Those are the facts. Today's stars worry more about their post-game Instagram photos than getting in their opponent's head during the game. They're planning their tonal walk outfits, some of them fly though, and coordinating jersey swaps, brand building activities with zero competitive advantage. The rise of player empowerment changed everything. Players now control their careers in ways previous generations couldn't imagine. So I ain't hating. But with that power came a shift in priorities. Why build intense rivalries when you can build business partnerships? Why make enemies when you can make money together? The science of effective trash talk. Here's something wild. Trash talk can actually make some athletes perform better, not worse. Let me explain. When you look at how different players react to trash talk, it's like day and night between the greats and everyone else. And I'm not just saying this because I think Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time, the GOAT. There's actual science behind it. Sports psychologists, discovered elite athletes process trash talk completely differently. Their research reveals a stark contrast. When faced with verbal jabs, Jordan's performance improved by an impressive 15%. Average players, you ask? Their performance plummeted by 11%. The same words created opposite outcomes. Imagine that. The brain interprets verbal attacks as threats, triggering our fight or flight response. For most athletes, this creates performance-killing anxiety. Heart rate spikes, breathing becomes shallow, and self-doubt creeps in. It does. Suddenly, your game collapses at the worst possible moment. Elite performers transform this response, differently. They channel it into laser-focused aggression, like a controlled fire that powers an engine rather than burning it down. Trash talks fuel their competitive drive and spirit too. The same words that distract normal players sharpen Jordan's focus to a razor's edge. Sports psychologists describe this as entering a challenge state versus a threat state. Not big words, but two different states. In a challenge state, your body mobilizes resources effectively. Think efficiency. The adrenaline energizes rather than overwhelms. Instead of fearing failure, you become determined to prove critics wrong. Your mind shifts from defense to offense. This explains why legends like Jordan, Bird, and Reggie Miller elevated their play when games turned personal. Miller's famous exchange with Spike Lee wasn't just about entertaining. It activated his challenge response. He was in challenge state. He transformed from playing basketball to making a statement, and the statement he made. Trash talk stimulates high pressure situations. Hit a game winner when someone predicts your failure, and I gotta slow down because I want you to understand this. In normal pressure situations feel manageable by comparison. It becomes unintentional mental training. The best trash talkers grasp this psychology instinctively. Jordan wasn't simply being cruel to be cruel to his opponents. Nah, he systematically dismantled their mental game. He recognized which players would crumble and which would rise. Using this insight strategically, consider Jordan guarding Muggsy Bogues. During a crucial playoff possession, Jordan backed off and said, "Shoot it, you." Bogues missed badly, according to his former coach. His confidence and career never recovered. Jordan had identified and exploited a psychological vulnerability perfectly. What separates legendary trash talkers from everyone else? Strategic precision. The greats customize their approach based on each opponent's psychological profile. Bird studied opponents' weaknesses before attacking them. Jordan rarely trash talked Tim Duncan. Knowing it would be ineffective. Trash talk Tim Duncan? Come on. The science is clear. Trash talk creates pressure that either diminishes performance or elevates it. The difference lies not in the words spoken, but in the mind receiving them. The decline of trash talk reveals something bigger than just players being nice. Today's NBA prioritizes marketability over psychological warfare, and Instagram-friendly relationships over competitive edge. And I think the game suffers as a result. The greatest trash talkers followed one essential rule. Trash talk was strategic, not personal. Jordan and Bird weren't being cruel. They used verbal attacks to create mental pressure that separated champions from contenders. The NBA has lost this mental dimension that made rivalries in the golden era so compelling. Do you miss their strategic mind games, or do you prefer today's friendlier NBA culture? What psychological elements would you bring back?
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.